Hello everyone, welcome to two-factor authentication course. I hope you guys have seen my previous videos such as how to enable the 2FA in authorization server and then what are the database schema changes are required to enable the 2FA in Spring Boot OAuth2 Security authorization server. If you guys are not watching that video, first please watch those videos. Those videos links are given in the description section. In this video, I'm going to I'm going to teach you how to implement the two-factor authentication service in your Spring Boot REST API. And then what are the way of we are going to send the 2FA code. One is the email and another one is the SMS. For email, I'm going to use the Gmail transport layer security, and for SMS, I'm going to use the Twilio. Let's start. So these are the steps I am going to show you how to implement the two-factor authentication service system. First step, I am going to download the Gradle project from Spring Initializer page. In Spring Initializer page, I am going to choose the Gradle project with Java and then the Spring Boot version 2.0.4, and then the group name I am going to use com.talk2amresoran.projects, and then the artifact name is two-factor service. And then we are going to write a REST endpoint, so that's why I added the Spring Boot web starter dependency, and then click the generate project button. Save your project into your machine. Extract the zip file and then import this project into your Eclipse. In import, use existing Gradle project option to import the project. Choose the project root directory here and click finish. Build is successful. Now go to the build.gradle file and then make sure the Spring Boot version 2.0.4 release, and then the Spring Boot starter web dependency is added or not. Second step, add the required dependencies Twilio for SMS and then Spring Boot starter mail for email. In build.gradle file, add these two dependencies. One is for com Twilio SDK, the version is 7.11, and another one is the Spring Boot starter mail dependency. The Twilio is for sending an SMS and Spring Boot starter mail dependency for sending an email. So now I am going to refresh this project. Two-factor service. Do refresh all so that the new dependencies will download into your machine. The second step, rename the application.properties file into application.yaml file. In the application.yaml file, I am going to configure the data source property. So look at here I provided the Spring application name as two-factor service, and then the data source I configured MySQL JDBC driver. I am going to connect the MySQL database in the two-factor authentication service, because look at here in the users table I have the column such as is 2FA enabled, 2FA code, 2FA expired time, and then the 2FA default type. So once the code has been sent to your email or SMS, the code will update in these fields, and then the expire time also will be updated here. So for that I'm created the data source property. To connect the MySQL database, we should add the MySQL dependencies also in the Spring Boot application. In two-factor authentication service build.gradle file, add two more dependencies such as Spring Boot starter JDBC and then the MySQL connector to connect the database. Okay. Now again refresh the project. The new dependencies will be downloaded into your machine. Okay. Build is successful. The next step, write a REST endpoint to send the 2FA code. Now I am going to write a REST endpoint to send the 2FA code by using SMS and email. Now I am going to create a class called two-factor service controller. This two-factor service controller is a REST controller class file. I'm going to add the at REST controller annotation here. This is the REST controller annotation. Now I'm going to write a request mapping. The value is like, now I'm going to follow the URL pattern users, user ID, and then emails slash email ID, and then 2FA. The request method I'm going to use post method, or else if you guys want to use put method you can use. Okay, now I'm going to create a method definition response entity. This method will return a response entity, send 2FA code in email. This method will send a 2FA code in email. I just importing all the inputs, required inputs, the request method, request mapping, and then the response entity. This method will return null so far. Okay. The next, the same pattern I am going to follow here. Users, user ID, here mobile numbers. Here the user has to provide the mobile number here, the 2FA. This method will send a 2FA code in SMS. Okay. So we have to add the path variable. There is a two path variable we used. One is the ID and another one is the email ID here in this method. This ID represents basically the user ID, and then the another one path variable represents the email ID, which email ID we need to send the email. Okay, basically it is like a two ID, two address. Okay, and then for sending an SMS also we used two path variables. One is the id. Here also this id represents the user id, and then the next one, the mobile number, the mobile number represents the two number. I mean, which number we are going to send the SMS. Okay, mobile number, string mobile. Okay, now I am going to write a two service class, such as one is the email service and another one is the SMS service. This is the email service class annotated with the at service annotation. In this class I am going to write a method called send email. Okay, for this I am going to provide the two email id here. This method will send an email. Same like I am going to write another one service called SMS service. Okay, this SMS service will send an email, sorry, send an 2FA code by using Twilio. Okay, this class is also annotated with the service. Here also I am going to write a method called send 2FA code. For this method also I am providing a mobile number. So represents like a, this mobile number represents like a two mobile number. Okay, so we return two services. Also I am going to write another one service called DAO service. This DAO service class is act as a repository class. So I am going to add the at repository annotation. Here also I am going to write a one method, such as to update the 2FA code and the expiry time in the database. Okay, public void update 2FA properties. Okay, so basically here I am going to provide the user id and then the 2FA code. The first step, I am going to send a email. Okay, so here I auto wiring the email service class. So this is the basically this is a service class auto wired in the two-factor service controller class file. So here email service dot send email to this email id. I'm going to send the email. After that, once we send an email id, we need to update the 2FA properties in the database. Okay, so before that, in send email, I'm going to make a small change here, string to FA code. Okay, this 2FA code I'm going to send it. Same like I'm going to use this 2FA code in the SMS service also. String 2FA code. Okay, string 2FA code. This 2FA code I'm going to send it in email. After send the 2FA code in the email, I just want to update the 2FA properties in the database. So that here I am just auto wiring the DAO service. Okay, after send the email, I just calling the DAO service method dot update DAO properties. So we have a user ID in the path variable and then the 2FA code also we have. This 2FA code I am just updating. After send the email and updating the 2FA code, now I am going to send the new response entity to the client. New response entity. The HTTP status code is OK. Now here I am going to generate a random number to send the 2FA code. The 4-digit random number code I am going to send. Look at here, I am generate the 4-digit random number between 1000 to 999. That number I am going to send it in the email or SMS as a 2FA code. Now we generated the 2FA code. Now I am going to send it in email. In this method, I am going to send the email. In send email method, I just defining the properties. Okay. Here I define the two static final variable called one is username and another one is the password. I am going to use the Gmail transport layer security. So that's why I use the my Gmail account here. Here I created the session instance properties for the Java mail authenticator system. Okay. Here I define the my message object with the session and then I'm setting a from address and then the recipient as a to address. This to address is basically is coming by the method argument the email address. Look at here. Here I set the subject of the message two-factor authentication code from our service, and then the text I set it as your two-factor authentication code is fake code. This 2FA code is basically is coming from the method argument. Whatever the number we generated randomly, the 4-digit number, I am added in the message body. And then I added the line transport.send method. I call the method transport.send method to send the email. After that, I'm sending return true because we send the mail successfully. This method return type is a boolean, so I just return the email service. Okay. So far we defined the list of properties we required. to send the email, and then we created the session object, and then we defined the main message object to set the session, and then we define the from address, and then we added the recipient, we added the subject message, and then we are sending the email. Okay, after sending the email, we have to update the 2FA code in the database so that it will be helpful to verify the 2FA code. Here I am going to use the JDBC template object to execute the SQL queries. Here I auto wired the JDBC template object, JDBC template object dot update method. For here I am providing a SQL query update users set. The column name we have to update 2FA code and 2FA expire time. 2FA underscore code. I'm going to use the prepared statement here, and then 2FA underscore expire time, where the user ID. Okay, here I am providing a list of objects. So the first one is the 2FA code we need to give 2FA code, and then the expire time. Now I am going to store the expiry time. Expiry time, such as I am going to use the current time in milliseconds plus 120 seconds. Okay, I am setting an expiry time from current time to 2 minutes extra. Okay, the expire 2FA code time validation is like 2 minutes, and then the ID is user ID. So we completed the DAO method. Now we can go to write a SMS bot. Here already we created the service called SMS service. Here I am going to auto wire that in the controller class. Auto wire the SMS service. In SMS service, I am going to use the Twilio third-party API to send the 2FA code. So here also I would like to generate the random 2FA code, and then here I am going to use this mobile number. After send the 2FA code, we need to update the DB properties, and then we need to send the response to the client HTTP status code OK. Now I am going to write a 2FA code, send 2FA code by using SMS method. Okay. To send a SMS, you have to provide the Twilio account ID and then the auth ID here. Here in the static block, I'm initializing the Twilio instance by using this account ID and then the auth ID. I use the Twilio message creator method to send the SMS. Here in this first argument, we have to provide the phone number. This phone number is basically like a two mobile number, recipient mobile number, and then this phone number is like a Twilio number. Your Twilio number you have to provide it here, and then this is the message body. Here I provided the SMS body as your two-factor authentication code is 2FA code, and then I return the true for this method. So what will happen whenever the user calling this API, they will get a 2FA code in email. So whoever calling this email API, they will get the 2FA code in the email. Okay. So this is the part we use to update the 2FA code and then the 2FA properties in the DAO. Okay, now I am going to run this application, two-factor service application. Now I am going to run this as a Java application. Here the application has started in the port 8080. Look at here, the Tomcat started on the port 8080, started two-factor service application in 7.255 seconds. This is the URL we are going to use, localhost colon 8080 users, and then this user ID. This user ID is basically represents the database user ID column. Okay, and then the emails, and then this is the email ID. This email ID represents the user's email ID. This is just an API we are developing. So when we integrating into our web app, so we can call this API from this web app, from the web application. Okay. Now I am going to call this method. Now I am going to execute this API. So here we have some issue missing URI template variable ID for the method parameter type as a string. There is a difference here. We used user ID, but in the path variable used ID. So here also we have made some issue. Okay. Now I am going to stop this application and run it once again. I am going to run once again. So I hope you guys are understand. We made some mistake here. We used user ID in the path variable, but we used ID here in the method argument. Okay. So that's why we got this error missing URI template variable ID. Okay. Stopped and started the application once again. Now I am going to run this API. Look at here. The HTTP status code 200 OK we received. We did not add any response body in the controller. So we added only the HTTP status code 200, so that we received only the HTTP status 200 code. And also I received a email from my Gmail account from talktoamreshwaran@gmail.com to this email ID amreshwaranvail@gmail.com. So look at here. I received a mail here. So there is a subject two-factor authentication code from our service, and then your two-factor authentication code is 6224. So we received a code. The same way I am going to follow for mobile. So here we have to use the mobile numbers instead of email ID. So basically this user ID represents the user ID from the database column, and then the mobile number. Okay, this mobile number. Here I am going to provide my mobile number +918939052159. I will receive a email from the Twilio. Look at here, the HTTP status code 200 OK I received, and also we did not add any response body here. Okay, so that I receive a message from Twilio. So look at here, I received a mail from Twilio sent from your Twilio trial account. Your two-factor authentication code is 10357. Okay, so this is my authorization code. I have to enter it in the web application. Okay, and also we received a SMS and also the email. But here in the database also the 2FA code and 2FA expire time has been updated. So I used the same user ID for sending an email and SMS, so that the last 2FA code has been updated here. The next step, I'm going to write a REST endpoint to verify the 2FA code. Here now I am going to write another one REST endpoint to verify the 2FA code. Here I return the REST endpoint users, user ID, code and 2FA code. So user have to provide the 2FA code here. So after receiving the code by using SMS or mail, so here we can validate the 2FA code. Here now I am going to call the DAO service method dot check code. Okay, For this method, I'm going to pass user ID, I mean that ID and then the code. Okay. Here I'm going to create a method. This method will return a boolean variable. It will tell you whether the code is correct or not. Okay. Here I am using a query for object method. Here I am writing a select query, select count of char from users where the 2FA code. Okay, where the 2FA code and the ID is a user ID. So here I am going to use the prepared statement new of object. This first query param is like a code and another one query param is an ID, and then it will return a integer, it will return a count. Suppose this method the count has been greater than 0, then the user have the user given the valid code. Okay, if the count is greater than 0, the user provided the valid code. If the count is lesser than 0 or equal to 0, the user has provided the invalid code. So we can verify it here. Boolean is valid if is valid code, then I am returning a response entity, return new of response entity. HTTP status code is okay. Suppose if it's not valid, I am returning a HTTP status code as forbidden. Okay, I am going to stop this application and run it once again. Now I am going to start this application because we return a verify resident point. In the database, look at here, the 2FA code has been updated here. So now I'm going to call the verify API for this user ID 1, and then I'm going to send this 2FA code in path variable. That API will return if the 2FA code is valid or not. If it is valid, it will return 200 OK, otherwise it will return a 403 forbidden access. Look at here, the Tomcat has been started now. This is the API localhost colon 8080 users, user ID, and then the code. The code I'm going to give some number here. Look at here, I got the forbidden 403 forbidden access because the code is an invalid code. Now I'm going to provide a valid code here. The valid code I received here 10357. 10357 I'm going to provide it here. So look at here now. I got the 200 OK. So this API will use to verify the code. I added one more condition in the select query. So look at here, we have a 2FA expiry time. This 2FA expiry time we used, basically this 2FA expiry time, I mean the code has been expired after 2 minutes. Okay, 120 seconds. Suppose if the user provided the 2FA code is lesser than expiry time, then the code has been valid, otherwise this code is not being valid. Okay, so I added this condition in the select query so that the user can validate the code as well as the expiry time in the same query. Thank you for watching this video. I will upload my next video like how to integrate the 2FA service in the web application. Please subscribe my YouTube channel, like my videos and share my videos. Thank you.